mindset. This is the day in every facet, health-wise, financially, mentally, emotionally, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. What do you need to do? What does it take? Or what would it take for you? Do you have a dream? Do you have a goal? But I need to let us know one thing, and that is the fact that the author and finisher, him that has created you. He said, before I formed you in your mother's womb, before your mother conceived, he knew you. He has a purpose for you, he has a plan for you. And the other thing is the fact that he says, I will not leave you nor forsake you. And he says he will go before and after you. Him that is going before and after you, him that has said will not leave you nor forsake you. What are his plans for you? As we spend the next 1.5, 2 hours together, I'm sure we're all going to be leaving this place with a different and a changed mindset. I need to say this. It takes just one day. It takes just you to make a choice to level up your mindset to the next level of where God is taking us to. Are you ready for it? That being the case, that's why you're here. And that's why you're here. The reason why I just seemed as if because one of the speakers is telling me the sugar, the ID is not correct, but that's the same ID I sent to everyone. So I'll sort that out once I hand over to the host. Leveling up your mindset to where God is taking you. What are the challenges? What are the handicaps? What do you need to do? What are you not doing right? I believe that these are some of the things that our speakers are going to be addressing today. So without further ado, I will hand over onto you. And I would just want to welcome all the speakers as well and everyone that's online so far for now. And I know there's still going to be many more people joining us this evening. Thank you very much. Abipel, Councillor Abipel, do you mind just taking over from there, please, while I send the link to this lady again? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. Without further ado, I would like to call on our first speaker. She goes by the name of Mrs. Olapejukoka. She is a successful community outreach worker, providing information, advice, and support to clients to ascertain need and possible solutions in areas such as parenting, debts, benefits, housing, disabilities, employment, crisis, or any other problem, in order to help her clients make informed decisions whilst considering the options open to them to resolve the problems. Mrs. Olapeju is also the founder of Ola's Apron, a healthier brand of food that has a large consideration for people with food intolerances and also allergies. All her products are gluten-free and contain zero gluten, zero artificial coloring, flavoring, preservatives, and additives. So without further ado, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our first speaker. You're welcome.
Mute yourself.
I have. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Are you still introducing the rest, or are you expecting me to take it on from here?
If you please take it on from there, thank you.
All right, okay. Thank you for that, because I thought I'm going to be the second speaker, but that means I have to say something about mindset then, because my portion is about fear and regret. And however, sorry, I'm trying to get this thing off my face. Okay, it's gone.
Sorry,
So,
it's because the first speaker is not on yet. That's why you came on next. Sorry.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I'll just touch briefly. And looking at the clips that was shown earlier, it's talking about what is mindset. When we talk about mind, what is mind? Mind is the way we process our thoughts, our reasoning, a lot of things. Actually, it's a minefield. Our thoughts can be positive and can be negative. It can accelerate us or it can cripple us. So I'm just trying to make them simple. And we saw how the big and the mighty were shaken in the past year as a result of the pandemic that we had, COVID-19. Even the government officials have no answer. A whole world was crippled. Fear was up and down. And when we talk about mindset, it's deeper than the surface, thinking I have a mind. And this is what made us different from every other thing that God created, because our mind helps us to process things. We learn, we can make decisions, and what we do with that is very, very important. So our mind expands. It has ability to expand so much. So it doesn't have a ceiling. The more you put, the more it expands. So if we have that understanding in the beginning. And when we say mindset, it's got to do with a lot also. We talk a bit about mental agility. What is the state of our mental health? When we talk about mental health, people often think it's about, in our culture where we come from, being cuckoo. But it is not about that. So I happen to work in an area with vulnerability, with people with vulnerability. And as an outreach worker and also a leader in my community, I come across a lot of things. And through my own personal experience as well, I realize how important it is to take care of our mind and what we feed our mind with. Because we are what we eat, we are what we do, we are how we reason. The Bible also said to us that as a man thinketh, so is he. So which means our mind is also very important to God. So in the past year, there's been a lot of fear in the year. I would like us to pay respect to those who actually lost their life during that as well. A lot of families are badly hit by this COVID. They've lost loved ones. People have lost their job or in the process of losing their job. So there's fear in the air. And the first thing that often happens when there are crises or challenges is two things that will come. It's either run and drop everything, or take up the challenge by its own and ride with it. So at the end of the day, what we do with our thought processes will determine the outcome that we have in any given situation. Our challenges are not going to be the same because there are going to be varied factors, circumstances, and the factors surrounding what is happening in our lives. But there is one thing that is common with fear is that there's also something called regret. They actually seems to be brothers and sisters. One comes after the other, but both of them are things that are not existing now. Because when we see challenges, I'll first of all like to go and take a basic definition of what fear is. The fear means the unpleasant thing, emotion caused by the threat or danger or pain or harm. What we can see now, what we perceive may happen. And the same thing with this, with regret. Regret is something that is not also present. It's something that has been spent. So either way, or something that could come in the future. So either way, there are things that plays a lot in our emotion. So how then do we recognize what is going on around us? COVID, yes, there's no lockdown anymore, but there are still fear. people have to realign where we are, where we are going. What do we see? Do we see problem or do we see opportunities? Because often where there are crises, there are also opportunities. And it's also very important about how do we handle what is going on. One important thing is to understand what our emotions are. What are we going through? Why am I feeling like this? Identify where we are. Understand why we're in that situation and where we would like to be, because there's no point running away from it without understanding it, because we can ending up in something else that they call from fry pan to fire. May that not be our portion. And strongly, even in the Bible, I really strongly adhere. I try to, I'm not saying I am perfect. I try so much to adhere to what the Bible says concerning me, concerning my family, concerning my community, concerning everybody that I come across. What does God say to us? He said, I have inscribed you on my palm. I have called you by name. You are mine. That's number one. Today, our tomorrow, and our past were not anything away from God. So when we then talk about, we know what the fear is, the fear of what we think would happen, which may and which may not. And regret is the aftermath. The I wish I have done, what I could have done, what I may have done, all those sorts of things. And the two they work hand in hand. When we face challenges, what do we do? And when we think about gold, because when I was thinking about this, I was like, Lord, what are you saying? When we think about gold, gold is never found at the surface, on the surface of the ground. It is dug up from underneath the earth. And when it's picked up, when it's dug, it has to be polished, it has to be cleaned, it goes through processes. And we all know the price we pay depends on the type of gold we are thinking of buying. You can buy 9 carats, you can buy 18, you can buy 22. What am I saying about this? What we do with the dust, because the gold looks just like a mold when it is dug up. So with many other treasures, when they are dug up, they don't look shining as we end up buying them in the shop. And that represents like when we find ourselves in situations and everything looks dusty and moldy. I always say to people, I go out every day to do treasure hunting, to find rubies in the rubbles. There are a lot of rubbles around us now. How do we deal with them? How do we recognize the gold dust that are in us? Because there are many gifts that God has given unto man, and we only focus on few. But often when there are crises and we are able to look inwardly, we realize there are many more to us than what we see or what we've made ourselves to believe. So in this season, there are people that will have to move on with being single or living, looking after their children by themselves because of the unfortunate thing that they've lost their partner. And there are some people that are doing this hard time because of the pressure, may have gone through divorce or separated. One way or the other, life has to move on. And our children also have been so traumatized by the lockdown. Many children are, because even parenthood was thrown out of the window, parenting, because nobody was prepared prepared for what we faced. And it's not limited to only Britain, it was a worldwide problem. How then do we move on from here? And knowing that there's fear, we have to make changes. What do we do? And one thing that I would like to point out first is that what does fear do to us? It cripples one, it demotivates one. Fear makes us to go into hiding, which is called isolation, and this can lead to depression. And we can all see what isolation did to so many people during the lockdown, not being able to mix with people. And when we now know all this, many people may have to change course of line of our career, or even think other way, that this same problem can actually be an opportunity for many others. Because during the pandemic lockdown, there are lots of businesses that emerged through thinking of how to meet with people's needs. And there are so many ways of doing that. I am not an authority on all, but from my own personal experience in life about challenges, I know God is more than able to help us. If you align our mind with his words concerning us, that even Christ said there will be challenges, but we should cheer up because he had overcome. So which means the Alpha and the Omega knew what is here and what things that are yet to come. So God have it all taken care of. How then do we align with what God wants us to do? How do we conquer our fear? How do we move on? There are a few steps, because I know we hear a lot of this, but few practical steps that I think are simple is about what do you say to ourselves? Because the word of God is to be spoken over our lives and over our situations. And the Bible says, if ye are of God and ye are little God, what do we see in this season? Isaac was told to sow his seed at a time that there was no rain and there was no dew. But God instructed him, sow in this season. And he made him fruitful. So in this season also, God is asking us as his children not to fret, but to take our stand and trust him. And sow in this season. And how do we begin to piece that together? One, when we say change our mindset, it means change how we think. Because the Bible told us in Proverbs 23:7 that as a man thinks, so is he. Because our mind molds our reasoning. The first thing when we are in crisis that the brain does, because the mind just sends the message, he or she is afraid, and it doesn't. It's our mind, we are so much wired in a way that there are safety measures in our system. And what fear does is see that we're panicking and send message to the brain to like, this person is afraid, shut down. And that paralyzes our thinking. It goes to shut down mode. And if you are not careful, the self-esteem starts to go down, depression starts coming, because when you shut down and you are demoralized, you don't feel good. We don't feel good about ourselves. The next thing we want to do is hide away from people. Isolation sets in. We do not interact anymore. We do not want to go out. So what do? Think, change our thinking, positive thinking. Try to think, okay, the situation might be bad. Understand why it's bad, understand what you are going through. I've lost my job, what do? I need to find a job. Now, what do I need to find a job? Think of what you want to do. You may not like the job you are doing before, it may be an opportunity to change another one. What job would you like to do? Find out what you need to be able to do it. If you don't have the skill before, upscale, find out. And then find your voice, because the moment you know that you don't like how you are feeling and where you are and you understand, then find your voice. Once you find your voice, speak out, look for help. As they say, if you don't ask, you don't get. And it's not every time that people will say no to us. And most especially in this period, there are a lot of opportunities all around if we ask. Even the governments are trying to make sure there are resources for people to retrain. So believe you are made for more. Maybe where we were before, some of us were just thinking, okay, I'll soon pension. And this comes. God might be saying, you know what? I'm using this time to change power. I'm realigning you for a greater place. So please do not underestimate who you are and what God has called you to be. Many of us are a renowned power to be reckoned with that is in the making. But in this time, when we decide to polish the gold that we find that looks dusty, that diamond or the finest gold would emerge. So let's remember that. God have more in stock for us than we can ever imagine. Then appreciate yourself. There are times when you are there, you're like, okay, well, how did I get myself here? But have you ever said to yourself, hold on, you've took a long journey. You've actually coped this far. Pat yourself in the back. Because if you do not appreciate yourself, nobody else would. Let's be comfortable in our own skin. Appreciate yourself. We often say to people, well done. How many times have you given ourselves personal treat to say well done? Even in difficult situation, find a reason to laugh. It's good to laugh off things, laugh off things. Let's find a reason to laugh. Recognize what you can control and what we cannot control. We cannot control everything. There are some things that will be within our reach and some things that will be outside our capacity. Some we may have to take to God. Even when we take it to God, we still need people in our lives. And that comes to speak, ask, seek for help. Because the Bible says, ask and we shall receive. Seek and you shall find. So I'm going biblically here now that because the scripture is more relevant, even more relevant in the time that we're in than they've ever been. And let's then also determine, what are your determination? What do you want to see? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself? I know often things are very difficult when they are easier said than done. But God don't give us more than we can handle. Trust me, I've been in a few puddles and I don't know how, as the musician said, but he did it. He pulled me out. Because when you have nowhere else to turn, you turn to him and he directs our steps. So the Holy Spirit is a gift to us. So listen out to God, even in the midst of chaos. In fact, that is where he is, right there with us, speaking to us. So we need to listen out and understand that God is talking. And then let's be prepared to embrace change. Change is the most difficult thing. Let's even think about moving. Even if you buy a new house, a big house, and you are excited, the moment you start thinking of, oh my goodness, we're going to have to pack the things, the children, the schools, if you still have children, the change, new friends, if it's further, the fear start coming, you start having cold feet. Am I making the right decision? Do I want to go? A lot of people may even have to travel abroad. The world is a global market now. And when I say travel abroad, sometimes the job does not have to be where you are. Now you can work remotely. So have a big, as Deep I said, the mind is big. So what you put there, make it a big playground for positive things. Think big. Make a list of all those big things. And Google is your friend, please. Google is our friend, okay? Things are so free these days. Google is your friend. Note that, please. Google it in any skills. Say, how do I get this? What do I need to do this? What do I need to do? And there are a lot of hubs. Is it businesses you want to do? A lot of hubs around. And don't let people just grab your money. Some things you have to pay for. But find out what you want to do first so that you don't pay for ignorance. Because that is a big thing. People are out to make money as well in this season. So we'll be prepared to embrace change and do what it needs. I know I'm running out of time. I'll be quickly now. So I'm running there. So upscale your skills. Sometimes some of us may still have skills that are relevant to find us a job. But is it your IT that is not good enough or whatever, any other thing? Let's go in there. Let's sort it out. And then when you are strong, strengthen others. The people around you, strengthen them. Let's surround ourselves with positive people, are like-minded. I heard someone saying, don't stay around people that are employed that will be telling you dooms. It is true. You may not have a job now. Join a club of job searchers, you know. Even if it's not that, go to motivational speaking, play things from the internet, things that will motivate your mind into your mind every day. And also set goals, no matter how little. That, okay, you may say tomorrow, I'm going to pick up a phone and phone somebody. Or I'm going to search the internet and see where I can get somewhere I can talk to. The little steps that we take, it's taking you closer to coming out of that dark places. And there's no dark places. It's only a situation where we've been polished. Remember, when the gems are dug up, they have to be washed. They have to be polished. And some even go through fire to be refined. We'll remember that. And also the last one I have to say that I would like to say is that we need to remember, as long as there is a desire to be somebody, there will always be a fear. And what fear wants to do is keep you in the safe zone. To say, I think you are okay here. If you go there, yes, there will be challenges. Yes, you're going to have to upscale. You're going to have to work harder, but don't let fear put you back. When fear sets in, just know your goal and your dream is very big. And what fear does is try to cripples. I'll like to stop there. I'm sorry I might taking so much of that. If there's still chance later on, I might have it seen or two.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Very insightful. You know, upscale yourself. Google is your friend. You know, as you were speaking, there were a lot of comments that were coming up in the chat room. You know, some of the things that was saying is that, you know, often when there are crises, there are opportunities too. And, you know, it's talking about perspective, finding your voice, speaking out. Do not underestimate who you are, you know, find a reason to smile. A lot of the key things that you have given us today. And, you know, there's just one thing that I stumbled across. So when I was looking at friend statuses, WhatsApp statuses, because, you know, motivation comes anywhere. And one of the things that came up was reset, readjust, restart, refocused as many times as you need to do. So thank you so much for your time this evening. Please do stay around because I'm sure there's going to be questions and answers. Thank you very much, Mrs. Olapeju Koka. Thank you very much. Right, that was awesome. Our first speaker. Yes, clap, you know, thank you very much. Yes, we need that encouragement. You know, there's one thing that Mrs. Olapeju said, and, you know, that's in relation to appreciating yourself. You know, when have you said to yourself, well done, you've achieved this? And, you know, it reminds me of a TikTok video that I came across, and the lady said, you know, it doesn't matter if you like me or not, you know, the first and most important thing is that I like myself, and your like is extra. So, you know, we need to like ourselves, we need to value ourselves. And, you know, without further ado, I'm going to call upon our next speaker. Our next speaker, his name is called Michael Green. He is the founder of Michael Green's Coaching, and he helps people to improve and invest in themselves. He also deals in the area of finance, careers, and life skills. So without further ado, Michael, if you can please come online.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Just want to say thanks to Olapeju. Funny enough, a lot of my talk was going to be about opportunity, so it's a nice segue. Thanks to Abby and her mum for putting this event on. I hope some of what I say can be interesting to some of you. So I wasn't sure what to talk about in detail. I knew I wanted to touch upon a certain subject, but then I realised I just need to talk about what I do in the week. So the aim of this section is, I would say, to find your power through the power of service. So at the end, there's a possible opportunity, but I'm not selling anything. I'm just going to mention it and you'll see what I mean. So we have opportunity around us, but we are going through difficult times. So I am a fan of feminism and equality, but there's one area of life that women definitely don't want equality in. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So going to have some facts, a little bit negative, but the aim is to move conversation into healing. So what I wanted to talk about, I'm going to read from some notes at the time, is the mental health and suicide rates amongst young people. So I have some figures. They're a couple of years old. So I think they're probably a lot higher now. But in 2018-19, there was 5,691 suicides. And that was up by 321, which is 6% on the year before. And this is 2018-19. So this is before the COVID crisis. It's the biggest killer of men under 45. Men 45 to 49 take their life more than anyone, but it's the biggest killer of men under the age of 45. Now, unfortunately, it's rising in women too. So females under 25 have taken their lives 94% more since 2012. In other words, it's nearly doubled. So even before what we're going through now, there's a crisis. Believe it or not, I found out today, there's a minister for suicide prevention and mental health. But they're obviously not doing a very good job of promoting themselves. So without going into the politics, there's a lot for the government to do to help us with this. Now, I wanted to sort of mention young men briefly. Young men in this world are facing so many barriers, and young women too. Obviously, if with young women, Instagram and comparing yourself to other people, and the feeling the need to have special effects to show yourself, we're all victims of this. You know, it's a pressure. And for young men, the world's changed so much in the last 100 years for men. You know, being aggressive used to be probably the most important attribute that a human being had, because it kept us alive. But now, even though it's been in our DNA for hundreds of thousands of years, we now have to change our thinking. But unfortunately, it's not as easy as just asking people to behave differently, when everything in their DNA is telling them that they have to fight and they have to struggle and they have to battle things to win. And to be, you know, equal and successful in this world is a real change of behavior for men. And they don't know how to pass. Men of my age don't know how to behave, let alone pass down how to behave to young people to a certain extent. So it's a real race against time for us to save young people's lives. You know, men can't provide in the same way they used to. It's very different now. You know, their roles in society are changing. All of the jobs men used to do, more physical, are being taken by artificial intelligence. So we all really, what I wanted to talk about was us all coming together to try and help young people, and young men in particular, to help them redefine their roles in the world. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the internet about somebody not agreeing with someone's identity and attacking each other and political correctness in how we use our language, and you can lose your job if you said one thing 5 years ago. But you know, what was okay 5 years ago is not okay now. But how did you know that then? And unfortunately, the pressures are building where people are expecting you to know things that you can't always know. You know, we don't have all the answers. But what we can do is really what I wanted to briefly talk about today, was we can help other people by serving them. And what young people need in this world is, you know, like I wanted to talk about mentoring today. So young people need mentors, and everyone on this call is capable of doing that and helping young people. And what young people need more than anything is not you to tell them how you do your job or how to make money, even though, you know, my passions in life really are teaching people about money, teaching people about employability, teaching them about mindset. What a young person needs is just somebody who is there for them. They need consistency. They need commitment, because a lot of the young people struggling in this world are being brought up in conditions where that person isn't always there for them. That person isn't always honest with them. And if you can think about becoming someone who is consistent, committed, and keeps your word with people, you can change their lives. It really is that simple. So what I'm really saying is, if you can contemplate what I'm telling you, I'm going to mention that how I do it with my role, but this talk isn't about you necessarily coming to do anything with me. It's you considering how you can serve other people to change your mindset. So if you can think about what difficulties you have in your life and how it affects your mindset, the solution a lot of the time is to stop thinking about yourself. So I know there's a few people of faith on the call, and they serve their God, and that is a great way for you to make a difference in the world. And mentoring's along the same lines. You know, one of the cures for mild depression is to learn how to stop thinking about yourself. Once you stop thinking about yourself and you start focusing on someone else that you're helping, a lot of your problems start to fall into perspective. And a lot of the things you find challenging, you suddenly realize that by helping someone else, you already had a solution. You have everything in you to make a difference to somebody else in this world. The hardest person to make a difference to is to yourself. And actually, the harder you try, the harder it gets. Because if you're just focusing on yourself, all you will find is more and more problems, more and more problems, more and more doubt, more and more lack of belief. Because actually, although making yourself a strong human being is important, you can't really do that unless you help other people. If you don't learn how to help other people, you can't help yourself. And actually, then you really begin helping yourself, and then you get really good at helping other people. It's like a positive circle of influence. The more you help other people, the more you become valuable, the more successful you become, the more difference you make in the world, and the more your personal issues pale into significance, insignificance, shall I say. So I know this because about 13 years ago, my life wasn't really going that well. And I volunteered for a charity called Youth at Risk. And I'd suffered from depression. I'd taken antidepressants, had anxiety. I don't know who's on the call who has ever had anxiety, but it never really leaves you once you get it. It comes and goes, but it doesn't ever go away once you really get anxiety. But I volunteered with this charity, and I volunteered with them for 3 years, and they trained me to be a life coach. So my passions include life coaching, mentoring, and investing. And I never would have believed that I could do all that without, first of all, sacrificing something of myself. So I gave up something without knowing what the result would be, because so many of us want the result before we'll even commit to anything. And it changed my life. And the stuff I learned, I've never forgot. One of the most powerful things, which Abby knows about, is keeping your word, but we call it being your word. So when you say something, you realize that every single word you say has power, and every single word that leaves your mouth has to be something you're going to follow through with. And if you start to follow through with everything you say, you become the person people come to, because you are the person people trust to get stuff done. So if you start to say stuff, like we've all done it, like you say something you don't really want to do just to be polite, but actually all you're doing is creating a problem for the person you told it to, a problem for yourself. They lose trust in you, they stop asking you, or every time you promise something to your children or whatever and you don't follow through with it, in the end the children just like start to lose faith in you. And it's the same with young people. If we promise them stuff we don't follow through with, they will lose faith in us. But actually the person we build in trust in the most is ourselves. If we become that person who always does what they say they will, then almost anything is possible, because whatever you say, you will do everything in your power to make that happen. And once you realize that your word is that powerful, it will change your life. So what I'm sort of saying to you here, really, I'm not sure I have had 15 minutes, but that by being there for a young person, by being committed, not having to say anything clever, just being there and always doing what you say you will, you change their lives. But on top of that, you change your own life, because you suddenly realize that's all you ever needed to do for yourself. Keep your word to yourself, be consistent, be committed, and anything you set your mind to, you will achieve. Okay, so that's what I really wanted to share with you all. Now, I work in the week with a charity called Transitions UK. That's my main project at the moment. We work with young people who are leaving school, who may be at risk of offending or leaving care. There is no real provision for young people when they leave school anymore. I don't know if there ever was, but it's really bad. Like the colleges, I've worked in a college. A lot of the colleges don't really provide, because their funding doesn't support it. So these young people leave school, often getting loads of support in school, and then their next stop could be the DWP. And I don't know how many of you have dealt with the DWP, but it's not a pleasant experience in general. And then you start to lose belief in yourself. You think the world is against you. You think all these opportunities that I spent 12 years learning to be, they're not there. Young people think there's no opportunities in the world because the media tell them that. The media is owned by billionaires who do not want you becoming wealthy. I will just throw in there, because they want to rent their properties to you and they want you to work for them. So they want you to believe there are no opportunities out there. We know COVID is the biggest crisis we've faced in our lifetimes, and it hasn't even started yet. The furlough scheme hasn't ended. People think that we're coming out of it. We don't come out of it until that ends. So come October, November, there's going to be some employment crisis, I believe. And young people are feeling it the most. But you have the power to help these people. So I really wanted you all to think about, if you're not thinking about it now, think about becoming a mentor for someone. Think about how you can do it. It will change your life, because if your interest is solving depression, then mentoring is a great way to do it. If your interest is becoming wealthy, then mentoring is the only way to do it, because every successful person in the world has a mentor. And if you're not looking for mentors and you think you can do it on your own, your mentor may be, your Bible and God, but you will still find other people who fit in line with those values. And if you're not looking for that person, then you don't really want to become wealthy. If you're not looking to help other people, you will have a level of depression in you, because if you're not thinking about other people, there's only one other thing to think about, and that's yourself and your problems. So I'm just saying to you, following on to what Olapaju said, there's opportunity here. These next couple of years is the best opportunity to serve that we will all have in our lifetimes. And that's really what I wanted to share with you all. So I'm going to put my contact details in the chat, and if anybody ever wants to get in touch to find out more, and if not, please consider mentoring. Get in touch with Abby, get in touch with her mum, and speak about how you can do something through them. But I really want to tell you how it changed my life. So I hope some of that helps some of you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that. Thank you for that testimonial. Thank you for the encouraging words. Yeah, definitely. Mentoring. I am a product of mentoring, especially from Michael Green himself, in getting the job done and getting the work done and ensuring that all my music that we've been enjoying is out there. He has been my support behind that all. And yeah, definitely everything that we do, every business that's out there is to serve others, is a service unto others. So we need to be out there, and like Michael has said, they just need somebody to be consistent. So Michael's left his contact details down below in the chat. Feel free to get in touch with Michael or myself. I just have one person in the chat that said, what is PWD? PWD? You mentioned
DWP. Sorry, yes. So the Department of Work and Pension. So the old job centre, social service, social security, they used to call it. So basically, when you don't have a job, you get universal credit. The job centre have too many people to help anyone, and unfortunately, they then try and force people into roles that don't suit them. They don't stay in the job. You end up unemployed for years. The benefits trap sucks you in. We've all know people who've been through that, and it's just not that. It's not set up to help people. So imagine if you're a young person who's been, helped for years, and then all of a sudden your next experience is with somebody forcing you to work in a warehouse against your will. And that's what you start to think the world is. Young people don't realise there's other help out there because it's hard to find. And it's hard to find for all of us. So there are good people out there. There is help, but you need to know where to look. And when you're young, you don't know.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Right, as we have heard, from Michael himself, being your word and staying true to your word is very important. And we've all been there. We've all had that one person where it's like, yeah, let's see if it will really happen. She always says this or he always says that, but let's wait and see. The day we see it, that's when we know that they're really gonna stick to their word. And it is unfortunate that it happens, but if you are that person, let's try to change. Let's try to change and become who we say we are and do what we say we'll do. So without further ado, I would like to call on the next speaker. I just wanted to see if our first speaker is with us and if perfect. Okay, so our next speaker is with us, and he goes by the name of Timothy Bamishile. Before I welcome Timothy Martens, sorry. Before I welcome him onto the platform this evening, I'll just say a few things. So Tim Martens is a young minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ with a background in law, graduating with honors. He has pursued a career in medical recruitment internationally. In early 2012, he gave his life to Christ and he has not looked back ever since. He currently is the leader of and minister of a young, vibrant ministry called Total Intimacy, located in the heart of Milton Keynes. This is on fire. This on fire man of God has a story to tell. And he is both gifted and inspirational to his generation. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Tim Martens onto onto the platform. Bear me 1 second. I'm just letting him in now. If you can please unmute yourself. Perfect. And I'm just going to find you to share your video. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem at all. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I know that we're joining from different time zones. Please excuse my background. Nonetheless, you know, it's an honor to be here and have the opportunity to share with each and every one of you. My name is Tim Martens, and I'm currently the lead minister at Total Intimacy. And firstly, I just want to thank, you know, all the speakers that have gone already. And at the same time, also thank my mother who's invited me to speak. And I'm speaking on the mind, as we all are, and that is the heart of the topic. And I'm sure that the speakers who have spoken prior to myself would have shared a wonderful word. That being said, the heart of my word, or the snippet I'm going to share, is going to be taken from a book by James Allen. The book is entitled As a Man Thinketh, So Is He. And one thing that we need to realize and understand is that the mind is a place in which so much takes place, so much is created, so much is destroyed. And when you look at individuals, especially in the, not even the younger generation, but all generations, every action that we undertake, whether it's a conscious action or a subconscious action, usually occurs because of something that's taken place in the mind. And so one thing I'll challenge each and every one of us with today is, what is your mindset and what governs and informs your mindset? One thing that we probably growing up don't yet take responsibility for or have a sound understanding of is usually our gateways. And I'll speak probably in context of the younger generation because I'm a minister in a young fellowship. And what I find with a lot of young people, and as the generations have, I guess, gone by and as society's progressed, what you find is that there's almost like a dilution in your strength and your ability to take on certain things. So when I look at my mother's generation, I realized that there was a strength that they had when they came over to the UK in, let's say, the early or the late 80s, the early 90s. And I know that generation had a different attitude and different mindset. And then there's my generation who learned particular things from the generation that had gone before us. But yet, naturally, growing up in the Western world, there's things that we will take on for ourselves. And then the generation that comes after us, they would grow up in a different world. The world around you informs and governs the mind that you have. Your gateways and the channels that you use, like being your eyes, your ears, they basically digest and absorb. That's why the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why? Because the mind has the ability to transform individuals. And so the biggest challenge and what I would say to each and everybody on this Zoom conference today is, how do you process things? You know, there's a phrase that goes, the cup is either half full or half empty. The level of water is constant and remains the same, but what is different is the way one perceives the way the water is in the cup. There was something they used to say in my old workplace. It went along the lines of perception is reality. And so, for example, let's take something that I'm sure all of us have probably experienced, financial hardship or financial challenges. And I remember a period of my life whereby I was going through some real difficult financial kind of challenges, a period in which I literally had no penny. I'd phone my mom. I said, Mom, please, can you give me £10, £50, £100? And, you know, it will go up and up and up. And Mom would say, hey, Tim, what's going on here? It's starting to get a bit too much. What's happening? And I remember during that period, I had the choice of one of two things. It was either to be depressed and wallow in the fact that I didn't have the opportunity to make money, or it was for me to get up and make intentional decisions to do everything in order for me to make money.
Apologies, please unmute yourself.
No, that's fine. I realized at that moment and at that point in time that the world around me is governed by the decisions that I make. Too often are we in the belief system or the understanding that life has dealt us these hard cards and, you know, we've got these difficult things and so on and so forth. I understand that naturally things will happen that are out of your control. But what is important is understanding your circle of influence. And what is the circle of influence? It goes like this. You have things that are totally out of your control, and those are things that you shouldn't put your energy into. Then you have things that you can influence, and those are the things that you should channel your energy only to the extent in which you can influence it. Do not allow it to absorb you anymore. And then there are things that are completely in your control, such as your attitude, your mindset, your ability to keep going, irrespective of the cards that are dealt you or whatever it is that is kind of holding you back. And whatever's in your control in that regard, do everything in your power. But that links directly back to one thing, and which is the mindset and the attitude that you have. And so what I wanted to say, really encourage each and every one of us today, is that we need to get into a space whereby the battle of the mind is one in which we overcome. Your attitude, your mindset will be informed by a number of things. It can be informed from as little things as such as when you were growing up, your parents might have not encouraged you. Your parents might have told you that you're not good enough. Maybe not your parents. Maybe it was someone around you. Maybe it was your peers. Maybe you were the odd one out. Maybe you had insecurities that caused you to feel, you know, low self-esteem or have less self-worth. And if that is the case, I'm letting you to know today that your mind and your attitude can change in a blink of an eye. You know, all it takes is a decision. You know, TD Jake says something very, very profound. And he says something like this. He says that there is nothing more powerful than a changed mind. I want you all to remember that today, that there is nothing more powerful than a changed mind. You know, the opening of a phrase, you know, there's this scripture, it says that let your yea be yea and let your no be no. And when you look at that scripture, it seems very, very simple. But yes and no are probably the two most powerful statements that an individual can make. If you have a visa application and you want to apply for a visa and what do they call them? The embassy says no. That means access to a country is denied. But the moment they say yes, suddenly there's an opening to access certain resources, to access a new opportunity, new life, so on and so forth. The power of yes and no. So the question I'm now asking you is, what are you actually saying yes to in your life? What is it that you need to start saying no to, because that is a hindrance to the mindset that is required for the place that you need to go, for the destination that you're trying to get to? What kind of attitude, what type of lies, what type of deceit have you been told that has caused you to not embrace the mind that is required to be where you need to be? And so that's why I say to you this evening that today is the opportunity for each and every one of us to make that decision and say, I'm going to say yes to what I need to say yes to. And I'm going to say no to what I need to say no to. It's time for us to dismiss and reject things that are directly going to go against the call upon our lives. It's the decision now that we need to make. You know, even when it comes to you giving your life to Christ, it's a decision. And it's a decision that changes your life forever. And so, in conclusion of everything I've shared today, it's a very, very short snippet, and I know the speakers after me will definitely expand and move on. I really want to charge each and every one of us to take time out this evening, after this Zoom, after this conference, after this wonderful, opportunity where we have some great speakers that have come together to share. And I want us to analyze and dissect. And sometimes we have to be very proactive about these things. A lot of the time, I was never proactive, but begin to write things down in your life that you need to see changing. Begin to write things down that you're not happy with. Begin to write things down concerning your goal, concerning your vision, concerning your purpose. And begin to say, this is what I'm saying yes to, this is what I'm saying no to. I want to achieve this thing, but my mind and attitude towards it is not in the right state. then ask yourself why. In the discovery of why, you'll begin to analyze and dissect elements of you that have caused you to fall short of the goals that you have. In doing so, you'll begin to open a can of worms and begin to address certain things in order for you to be in the place that you need to be. So I want to thank everybody for their time this evening. My name's Tim Martens again. And look, the charge is to encourage each and every one of us to change our mindset for the better. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim Martens. That was a wonderful snippet, as you like to call it. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Much appreciated. You know, one of the things that Tim has said this evening is in relation to being able to say no. Now, no is one of the hardest things for me to be able to say. It's my area of improvement, but I can tell you I have come a long way. And, you know, sometimes you have to say no if it's going to take your time, if it's going to take your energy, if it's going to take your, you know, if you're going to give out more than you're going to get or anything like that. You need to be able to say no. You know, I say, you know, it got to a stage where I was saying yes to so many things that I didn't even have enough time in the day to actually fulfill those things that I've committed myself to. And you know, it's about learning, and it is going to take time. It really is going to take time. So thank you very much, Tim Martens, for that lovely charge and that lovely encouragement for us this evening. I'm just going to quickly go to the chat to see if there's anything. Yeah, so I can see it says change your mind. It's time to dismiss and reject things. Take time out and begin to write. Yes, do you know what? That is so key. This February, I didn't just write it down. I took pictures. I went onto Google because like Mrs. Olapeji said, Google is our friend. I went to Google, search pictures. I'm telling you. And do you know what? Don't be afraid to add a date. I am telling you, don't be afraid to add a date to whatever it is that you want to see, because once you add a date to it, I'm telling you, it's a whole different dimension. Everything begins to work in alignment with that date and ensuring that that date comes to pass and what you have set for that date has come to pass. An example is getting elected as a councillor in Wolverton and Greenleys, doing another music video for the 23rd of May, you know, all these setting a date. Now in February, a lot of these things did not seem possible, but I had the picture, I had the date, and I had it written down. So be encouraged, whichever one is easy for you, go ahead and start it off. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our fourth speaker. She goes by the name of Jane. She is the CEO of Genesis Immense Foundation and a student at the University of Bedfordshire, studying health and social care. A married woman with 4 blessed, beautiful children, and a president of Milton Keynes Ghana Association. We are blessed. We've got a great mother in the house. Mrs. Jane, are you with us?
Yeah, hello, good evening, and how are you all?
We are well. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Did you want to leave your video off, or did you want to leave it on?
I'll keep it like that.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. My name is Jane Okono, and I'm a student in Bedfordshire, CEO of Genesis Immense Foundation. And today I'm here to represent myself as a speech and language therapist with a learning disability. Why did I choose this is because everything happened within the mindset. And if the mind is not stable, especially with children with disability and adults with disability and things like that, it doesn't, the brain doesn't function normally. And the reason why I choose this disability group is because we, the individual, need to recognize everybody as human and not people who can, talk to you with normal brain function properly and what have you. We have to consider everybody as equal. And again, as health professionals coming together, there are pros and cons, sometimes challenges and things like that, working with people mindsets in terms of physical, psychological issues, mental, and name them. So for me to go ahead, first of all, I would like to explain the meaning of disability. So disability can be explained as the inability to do normal tasks if a person has a physical or mental impairment, and the impairment has a sustained and long-term adverse effect on the individual ability to carry out daily activity. We can see this in Equality Act 2010 and also see Harris and Barrett 2007. As I said, if the brain is not sustained, there is a lot of issues that comes into the mind. So sometimes children, as Michael was saying, young children, they normally call suicide, and it's not that they want to do that. It's because of what the mind is telling them. So as a speech and language therapist and people with health professionals coming together, there is a need for them to, to work together to bring a person mindset in function. So language consists of a vocabulary, grammar, which includes speech, written words, manual signs, and computer codes. The ability to speak or to communicate with is not limited to physical making sound only, but also include mental processing involving in remembering and producing the word. What does it mean? This phrase emphasizes that speaking only, talking to somebody only is not how it is. But again, how to make it large, or how to bring those words out, how to make it understanding within the mind is very essential as well. So sometimes you may see some people talking anyhow. It's not their fault, but we, the individual, sometimes we don't understand them. We may think that, why is he picking on me? Why is he saying this to me? What is that? We need to understand that there is something that is really going on within the mind, and that is why things are not moving on well. Without wasting my time, I will read something from the Bible that says Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It says, Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and be not conformed to these words, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So as I was saying, if somebody does something wrong to you, sometimes they don't mean to do this, you see, but we, the individual, we take it like, why did they say about me? Why they gossiping about me? Then we become worried within the mind. But this chapter, as I read, is basically telling us that it says, and be not confined to those words, but ye will transform by the renewing of your mindset. So if you reflect back and you ask yourself, why did they do this to me? Why was he actually doing this around me? You might know that this person have maybe mental issues. You might realize that the person doing bad to you is not on their self. It might be that there is something else that we need to consider within the mindset. Needs of an individual with a speech and language disability include difficulty with communication. So when somebody is not speaking properly, that doesn't mean they don't know how to talk, or these people were not brought up in a proper background. No, it's because there is something that is triggered. There is something really wrong that we need to consider. So sometimes it can affect even their eating, it can affect their drinking, and again, how to swallow things as well. It's within the mind, because the mind is training what to do, it's telling the whole body what to do. So sometimes you may see that when you are difficulties, when you have trouble, you cannot even eat well. When you are speaking to somebody, sometimes some people get hot temper. They just talk to you anyhow. Sometimes when we meet people, you greet them, they don't even respond back. That doesn't mean like maybe they have issues with you. You need to reflect, you need to sit down and ask yourself, why is it that when I spoke to A or B, the way they react to me, that was not them? It's like, so this will tell you that these people are in need. And when it happens like that, we need to go closer to them. We need to talk to them. We need to empower them. We need to show them love and kind around our surrounding. And by so doing, their mindset that is triggered or that is not functioning properly, especially with disability, they will feel at home. They will feel comfortable and they will feel acceptable as well. So as individual in society, when we're talking about a mindset, there is a need not to look at like a surface ground, because it's more to do with everybody within the nation or within your community or within a country or whatever it might be. I will say this, for example, I went to Dubai and there was a meeting conference and we went there for a tour, and I was able to ask them how did they came back out about the way their countries to more professional design, buildings, and everything is so sweet. How? And the man who was doing this presentation said to me, he said, look, Dubai was very poor at that time, within 10 years way back. But we, the individual, trained our mind that, look, we have oil, we have timbers, we have this, and we can use it ourselves instead of selling it outside and do things. So this is what we have to do. And again, people with disability, we have to treat them equal. We have to treat them to make sure that we are all the same. So I said to them, I still can't get it. Can you still? She said, I'm still coming. I just want you to know the surface. And again, I will let you know what we do. Then I say yes. So he tried to talk. He said a lot of things to me, how they try to gather people with a disability, how we gave them a nice area where to sit, how to eat, accommodation, shelter, everything was beautiful, and they gave it to them. But another thing that I really learned within my mind is that every community have to try their best to help people in need in that area. So when I was coming, I try that the little thing I got that I'm going to do the same. So it's within my mindset. I train my mind that when I come here, anybody in need, the little thing that I can, I will try to demonstrate it. I will try to show kind. I will try, because if these people have tried and they share the little thing they have among their community, for example, if I have one and I gave you one, of course you will become better instead of keeping it to myself. You get what I mean? Keeping it to myself. So they try as much as possible to help people in need, especially with disability. Why? Because especially where I come from, I'm African girl and I come from Ghana. Where I come from, People with disability, we don't recognize them. We normally we say it's a curse. Why? Because we have trained our mind that they are not part of us. And these people are suffering. I don't know how to put in, it's like they're outcasts, they are not part of us, and they are really, really, really suffering. So as a health professionals within development world, the way they are doing to help their disability people, the way they are empowering them, giving them employment, pushing them, making sure they are part of us, it really amazes me. And I try to say that I'm going to do the same. And I bless God that when I came back from Dubai, I did the little thing that I can. I said to myself, how am I going to do this? How am I going to start it? There are some things that will come to your mind, go like, oh, you can't do it. How are you going to start? That is intimidation. It's when intimidation starts and you don't believe yourself, that is the bottom line. But if you try and said, I can help, I can do this, I can give people food, I can, like anything that you can to help, by the time you made your mindset, everything become beautiful. So without wasting time, I just make it just a small phrase to say that as we are training our mind, we need to train our mind to help people in need, especially wherever we come from, wherever we need. Sometimes I normally go to underpass, I see homeless people there because I've trained my mind that I want to help them. And I try to give them food, buy some shelter, pillows, and I'm giving to them. That doesn't mean I have it all. Is because I've made my mind that this is what I want to do. So far as I'm living on this earth, this is the little thing I want to help to people in need, people with disability, people that are suffering. Sometime I remember when the pandemic started, I realized that I have disability people around my neighbor, especially the elderly. What am I doing? I try to write my number and post it into their doors that this is my name. I'm from number this. In case if you need any help, if you want to reach something and your carers are not coming or something, I'm in your community and I'm a very trained person within this around health professionals, and I can help. And it was so shocking. They will call me, can you take me to shopping? Then I'll arrange a time for them. I was very happy. It's not that my time, I'm not using my time for anything, but using that time for them is this something I train my mind that this is what I want to do. And I went there, taking them to shopping. Sometimes they will call me, we cannot raise something. Can you come and help me? Of course, I will go there, make sure social distancing. I come back home, washing my house and things like that. And they were happy. So again, when you train your mind and you help people in need, especially with disability, when you help them, things that you do come back to you. In what sense? When it was Easter, when we are all locked down, because a lot of things were happening, I forgot that it was Easter, that maybe I should buy me, let's say chocolate. You know how children like chocolate to celebrate, even though we are still in pandemic, because it didn't even come my mind because we were all trying, praying hard how we can come out. The next day, I opened my door. On that Easter day, I opened it's a lot of flowers, sweet chocolate. And I go like, how? What happened? Who brought this? I brought them in. Then later on, I go to my WhatsApp messages and I saw the people that was trying to help. You see how God did? He told, I think God touches their heart that there is children in the house and they came to help them, whilst I was not even expecting that. I even forgot that in Easter, this is what we need to do to children. So sometimes whatever you do to people, it definitely come back to you. It makes me believe that whatever we do, as God said, when we train the mind that this is what we can do, there is no way what we are doing this planet will go for free. We should try and help. When we see disability out there, we should give them a smile. Sometimes when I'm going, I see them, I smile. Sometimes I just wave to them. That doesn't mean I've given them £1,000. I've given them love. I've made them know that they are part of us, not because of what has happened to them. No, they are part of us. So I will end this communication with you in the word that we should show love. We should train our mind. The little thing we have, we should train it and share, especially with our community, with people with disability. We should show them hug and we should show them love and make sure that they are part of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Jane. Thank you so much for, it's amazing if how all the speakers have really just, everything that has been said has really just coincided and gone really well with each other. Because if we look back at what Michael Green has said earlier on about being able to help and support others, that is where the wealth is, that is where your richness comes in. And in so doing, it's amazing. You never know when it's going to come back to you. You never know how it's going to come back to you. But just that mindset and that decision to be kind, to help, we don't know how far or how long it goes. So thank you very much once again, Jane, for your time this evening, and also showing us your passion, your testimony, your drive. It's been really encouraging to hear, of how you changed your mindset to that stage where it's now become ingrained and a part of you and a part of everything that you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can't hear you.
Oh, apologies. Without further ado, I would like to go on to our next speaker. Again, we've had a lot of I would call VVP or VVIPs, very important person speaking today. And I would now like to call on to our next speaker, who goes by the name of Isaac. He is the director of MK Executive Care and Community Trust Network. And he's also He's also a trainer and business consultant. I have got his email address, so I will put that in the comment section below for anyone that would like to get in contact. But without further ado, Mr. Isaac, if I can please ask you to, oh, I can see that lovely smile. Here we go. Let me replace it. Wonderful. You see, the smile is working, Mrs. Olapeju. The smile is working. If I can please ask you, perfect, you've unmuted yourself. Welcome. We are ready and we are waiting to hear what you have to say and bless us with this evening. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Abby, and thank you everyone, to Mama Lillian. Thank you for having me, for the great speakers before me. Just talking about mindset, you know, when Mama Lillian told me that I'm going to be the last speaker, I looked through the profile of the eminent speakers and I panicked. Okay, I panicked. My mindset failed me. And I said, this is trouble for me. And that just tell you what mindset is all about, isn't it? It's what you think about. Okay, it's what you believe. If it's okay, I did a PowerPoint presentation. So can I share my screen if it's okay by you? Let's see if I can. Bear with me. Bear with me, sorry, I think it's here. if I could share my screen. Can everybody see? If you just give me like a thumbs up, something to just make sure to say that you've seen it, or the fantastic. Okay, so just thinking about it, I'm sure everyone here have a reason about why you have decided to give about 2 hours of your time for today. So can someone maybe just tell me, why did you decide to do it? Think about it. Why did you decide to give about on a Saturday evening, where you were meant to be with your family, where you were meant to enjoy, watch Champions League, if possible, if you are one of those footballers or football fanatics? I'm sure there are loads of things that you could have done today, but you choose not to. Why is the question. And I've just done this PowerPoint presentation. I've tried to be as quick as possible. But what I did was to say, why change your mindset? And the things I will talk about are, what is mindset? Why do you have to change it? How do you change it? What are the benefits of changing your mindset? I went on the internet and I sort of got these quotations, just like one of the speakers talked about internet, Google. Google is your friend. And I tried to make Google my friend when I put this together. And one of the definitions just talked about to say it is an established set of attitude held by someone. I deliberately, if you see the flyer, I deliberately underline the word establish. Because what is established? You've done it, you start, there's the beginning, and eventually you then accept it. It becomes solid. So the attitude you have today, the attitude you have yesterday, really didn't start with you from birth. You choose one day, or it happened one day from the beginning, and then you made it a set, you established it. The second definition I got is a set of beliefs. But when it shapes the way you make sense of the world and yourself. Again, one of the speakers talked about, have you ever told yourself, well done? Do you believe that you are good enough for any position? Do you believe that you can be a CEO? Do you believe that you could be a manager? Do you believe in yourself that you could be anything that you want? Because if you believe it, it will shape the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. It also talked about that your mindset would help to influence the way you think, you feel, and behave. It gives you that ability, that self-confidence, that anything is possible. The question is, what's your mindset? Again, when I did Google, I made Google my friend, and I came up with this, the growth mindset. And I'm sure for all of us, if I ask individuals who are here about what would you like to happen, we would all talk about that we want something better. We want growth. We want to develop. We want to change things. And he's talking about that developing a growth mindset. It says, it sort of compared two things, that instead of this, try this. What are some of the ones? Instead of saying it is not good enough, say it is not really my best work. Instead of telling yourself to say this is too hard, just say it may take some time. And what good thing ever comes that easy. We all talk about it, isn't it? That there's no good thing that ever come that easy. So why do you think that if to make that growth is going to be an easy fact? It's going to be like eating pizza. It's not going to be. Again, the other one says, plan A didn't work. Instead of saying plan A didn't work, just say, there's always a plan B. And when I think about that, you see, when we are planning, when we plan things, our plans usually go on a straight line, isn't it? By next week, I will buy a car. By the following week, when I'm, or when we were young, you see, at 20, I would have finished university. At 25, I will land that dream job. At 26, I would have married. At 30, I've had all my children. Does it really happen like that? It doesn't, is it? However, we still need to have those plans, which is Abby talked about, isn't it? And we put dates on them. And when those dates don't work, do we say, I am not good enough? Or do you say, you know what? Why did it not happen? What can I do to make it happen? Again, if we do those sort of things, the growth mindset will begin to come in, isn't it? Why do I change my mindset? I saw this picture. This is a picture that somebody sent out. And I looked at it. The day I saw this picture, and it brought the words, why do I need to change my mindset? We can relate this to almost any situation that you find yourself, any situation that I find myself. Because what do we see here? A fisherman, who's gone to do his fishing. What is he looking for? He wants to catch the fish. So he's brought out his hook, like we'll say it. And actually, when I was young, I actually did this in my village. I used to go to catch fish. And then when you look at him, the position, the direction that he's put his trap is different from where the fishes are. Imagine if he remained in that position for the next hour, for the next 3 hours, for the next 5 years. What is the possibility that the fishes will travel from where they are to where he is? Supposing he decides to change his position and go to where the fishes are, what do you think will be the result? The question I would ask you is, do you think you need that mindset change? You could see for every time they talk about it, there's always the why. For everything that you do, ask yourself why. Because once you can answer the why, the rest will come into flow. If you ask yourself to say, why should you change your mindset? The more you give answers to the why, you will eventually find that you probably go to where the fishes are rather than wait for the fish to cross over to you. Just as they explained to you, I run my own business. And I know it's been difficult trying because, you know, but for every day you ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you are the person who is looking for a job, you ask them, why am I looking for a job? Why do I need to change that job? Somebody talked about that comfort zone that we find ourselves, isn't it? And once you find yourself in that comfort zone, then it's good for you. But do you think the comfort zone actually gives you what you want? Or do you need to move into that uncomfort zone and make that uncomfort zone a comfortable position for you, you would find that it is possible. I think one of the other speakers talked about the DWP. And believe it or not, he also mentioned about how the rich has made people so comfortable so that you don't even think about how they are making their money. Have you also think about to say, you can also be part of making that money? And even if you don't want to make that money, can you also be one of the leaders? Can you dream about making that change? I saw a picture, I didn't put it here, but a picture of, we say, when they ask a group of people to say, who likes a change? And everybody raised up their hand. Everybody wants a change. The next question was, who likes to change? Everybody dropped their hand. I do not want to change, but I want the change to happen. The question is, how would the change happen if I, you, all of us do not want to change? Change your mindset. How? How can you change your mindset? How can I change my mindset? And I'm sure there are loads, the other speakers have talked about it. But I sort of listed some of these points. Some of them really resonated with me. For example, the first one, you need to acknowledge the need to change. Because once you believe in you to say, the position I am, the situation I am, I need to change it, it makes it easier for you to begin to pursue things that will lead to that change. Part of acknowledging the need of that change also means that you need to set goals, dreams. For many of us, one of the things, for many of us, when we left Africa, we left with a dream. We left with goals. We said we were coming here for something. The question is, what are your dreams? What are the dreams you have that makes you get up every day? What are the dreams you have that make you go to work every day? What are the dreams you have that make you want to do what you do? There's a saying that if your dreams do not keep you awake at night, then they are not big enough. The question is, do your dreams keep you awake? And I think I like the third point I talked about, be prepared for failure. And when I look about that, remember how many of us actually like failure? I'm sure we will all say, no, I don't like it. But does it mean that everything that you do will become a success? It all depends on your definition of success. But imagine if you even, let's say everything that you do is successful, and you want to tell this story to people, to your children, to your younger ones, to your community. And you say, the day I was born with a silver spoon. I went through my school education, I took the first position. I started driving a car when I was 1 year old. I got the very best job from the beginning. I didn't have to do anything. Actually, when I finished school, I woke up the next morning, there was a job for me. Imagine if you tell that sort of story. It's not exciting. It's not. We like it when we say, you know what? Things were difficult, but I succeeded. The other day, for those of you who live around me, who live around Bedfordshire, I read I think a Nigerian chap just got elected as the police commissioner in Bedford. And there was a little caption to his, when they talked about him, that he used to be in a YMCA accommodation. And I asked myself the question, why did they link the YMCA to the success of today? Obviously, they want to tell us to say, our dreams, our aspiration, our goals can be reality as long as we believe they are possible. The question again, what are your dreams? Again, there are different ones that goes there. And one of the one I will just talk about is, you talk about surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So who are your friends? There's a saying to say, your network is your net worth. So if all your friends live in a one room, you probably will not be far from living in a one room. If all your friends are Christians, you probably will not be far from being a Christian. If all your friends are managers, you will not be far off. So think about who you surround yourself with. It also talked about challenging yourself. Remember we says that whatever dreams that you have, if they don't keep you awake at night, then they are not big enough. Do you challenge yourself? Do you think things are impossible, that I can't reach out to them? Because once you convince yourself to say it is impossible, then the possibility will never happen. However, if you talk to say there are possible, I think there used to be a saying those days when we were growing up in Nigeria, to say if you want to be a millionaire, think like it. So how do you think? The next point is to make a money schedule for the right start. So how is your money like? Are you the type that sleep without a time to wake up? You have to sort of have a schedule. If you put all of those things, and of course, much more, the possibilities are unlimited. So what are the benefits? Why do you need to change your mindset? And I just sort of put 3 quotes to sort of summarize them. The first one, it says, once your mindset changes, everything would change along with it. So ensure that you change your mindset. Ensure that you say, whatever thing that you are facing, whatever situation, it is possible to change it. Once your heart is convinced, once your mind is convinced, the rest would fall into play. The next quote says, it said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. If you see yourself as a failure, then you become one. If you see yourself as success, then you become success. Who actually give their child's name? Imagine a person is born and they say your name is failure. We don't get those sort of names, is it? Or your name is disappointment. We don't get those names, is it? We get those good names. So what is in your mind? And the last, Proverbs 4:23. He said, above all things, what do you need to safeguard? Your heart. For it is the source of life. So if there's anything that you need to protect, once you can protect that heart, that mindset, once you have it in place, it is possible. Thank you for having me. And thank you. And I hope we all benefit something from today. Thank you, everyone. You're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you. I can
Thank
see some
you.
clapping. I can
We
see some.
appreciate you.
Yes, we really did appreciate, thank you very much.
Yes.
Very, very informative. Very informative PowerPoint presentation there. Again, it just shows us that the mind, if we can win the battle in our mind, we have already won it. In the physical, we've already won it. And the power of the mind, the power of the mindset is very, very important. And as we can see, there are benefits. As we think, so we are. The benefits of safeguarding your heart, and safeguarding what we think about as well. One of the things that I've learned in my journey is that I give a thought 9 seconds. 9 seconds, and I decide, am I going to keep it? Am I going to throw it away? Am I going to keep that thought? Am I going to throw that thought away? Or am I going to act on it? We have to make a decision. Those little 9 seconds go a long way in building and establishing the way we think. And as Mr. Isaac has said earlier, established mindset is very key, very important. And yes, our upbringing and everything around us, our environment, we weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, but that doesn't mean that we cannot get to that place of where we have that silver spoon. So thank you very much, Mr. Isaac, for that wonderful presentation this evening. Without further ado, I don't know if Evangelist Lillian Martens is on the line. Okay, she is with us. Okay, that's fine.
I'm on the line.
Okay, I'll allow you to speak. And then I would love to hear from our participants this evening, because like Mr. Michael said, all of us have that gift of mentoring. All of us have that gift of being able to, we've all got that journey. We've all been on that journey. So it would be great to hear that before we go this evening from maybe one or two of you, if you just raise your hands using the reactions button. Evangelist Lillian Martens, please come online.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I just want to say thank you to all our speakers, and they have diversified in actually presenting this topic about changing your mindset. Changing your mindset. The Bible says, how do I put it? Blessed are those that give, and as you give, you receive as well. And giving in the place of service as you begin to change your mindset. And also, we have looked into the benefits, varied things that have been said, but to change your mindset, there must be a reason for a mindset to be changed. For a mindset to be changed, just like the Bible has said, there will be trials, there will be tribulations, there will be challenges, but you will overcome it all. You cannot overcome it all without changing your mindset. You can't overcome it all without changing your mindset. Your mindset needs to be changed from what it was. It says you cannot put the old wine skin alongside with the new wine, with the new wine. There is no way they will function together. And so, prerequisites to changing your mindset is this. You have planted a seed before. And the seeds that have been planted before, that means your past is a thing that the pain of the past that have brought you to where you are right now needs to be forgotten, needs to be a matter of past, and you need to get to a place of enough is enough. And to be able to say you want to get to a place of enough is enough for a changed mindset, you need to be willing to do what others don't do. As much as you observe your environment, you need to ask yourself a question, and you need to know this as much as you ask yourself this question. When you wake up in the morning, what is your mindset? When you wake up in the morning, do you have planned out what you are doing for the day? And this brings me to what one or two of our speakers and our how do I call it? Abby had said, to say yes and to be able to say no at the appropriate time. Don't go out of your way to say yes when you know it is actually detrimental to your goal and your focus. One thing for sure that actually makes us not to have a right mindset is this great disease, procrastination. Procrastination steals your dreams. Procrastination makes you not to fulfill destiny. Procrastination is the stealer of time. When good things are supposed to happen to you, when good things are supposed to come your way, when you're supposed to seize, you need to seize the opportunity to have a right mindset. Take begin to listen to videos on YouTube, read things, read books that have to do with procrastination. If you know you are a procrastinator, if you know you're one that you don't know how to keep to time, if you know you're one that have never planned anything, you know one thing, for you to be able to do what you're doing today should have been planned at the beginning of the month. It should have been planned. As you have planned for the month, you look at the weeks that follow by, and then you begin to follow, because you need to see and look into that which is your passion. Just like as you are volunteering, as you are serving, you begin to see that is your passion. And you might have gone to university to study so many things, but then you find you are doing something different from what you have studied. That's what we call walking in the journey of your destiny. And now you begin to think of how you're going to change your mindset to attune it to the new. The Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Whatsoever you say goes a long way to affect your mindset. Your mindset that needs to be changed means something that is there of old that needs to be renewed, transformed. There is that part of the scriptures that's telling us that we should write down our dreams and our vision. And they shall not come short of your expectations as you begin to tick them. When I say when you do that when you from the beginning of the month, the first week of the month, the second week, the third week, You begin to think, have I done this? Have I not done this? What is it that is left? You're waking up to look into what needs to be done and what what doesn't need to be done. You credit yourself for what you have done. You see, I'm going to use myself as an example here. And that is the truth. From the time my daughter started attending, the mindset that she spoke about with Mike, there have been a lot of changes in her life. My daughter was able to tell me no. She was able to tell me, Mom, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing, and I need to achieve this. I need to accomplish this. We need to bring you see, these things we're talking about, you're not talking about yourself alone. You're also equally talking about your children. Where are you taking them concerning their mindset? They are not taught these things in the school. What we have all the speakers that have dished out this evening, we need to have them relayed back to our children. So what do you say? Say the things you want to see. The Bible says calling into existence, speaking into existence, the things that were not as if they were, they are. Have you planned 5, 6, 7 years ahead? Are you having meeting with the members of your family together to look into what the future holds for you as a family? At the place of prayer. For those of us that are Christians, even Muslims, even individuals, you come together. You, as a family, your mom knows what you're doing. Your dad knows what you're doing. You know what the children are up to. Dream big. The magic of thinking big. It says tough times never last. They don't. So have you thought of all the challenges you have been through in life? Have you thought of how did I overcome it? How did I surmount it? It says by his grace, and his grace is sufficient to you, because he says it's going before, like I said, before and after you. He will lead you in the way you should go. If only you're ready to listen and act. And you know, as you're dreaming, begin to expect. If I tell you that this thing that I'm doing today, especially, this topic, I've done some other ones, but this very particular one about mindset, our first speaker can testify to the fact that I mentioned to her that we need to actually hold this event. People's mindset need to be renewed, but it has taken 2 months for me to be able to do it. Challenges and obstacles, you might be the greatest thing for you, the greatest hindrance to your mindset being changed is fear. Fear. But the moment you confront it in faith, whatsoever it is, you shall see yourself accomplishing and fulfilling destiny. We need to see us changing. These things are going to be maybe in another 4 or 5 series. Because the time is gone, we've gone past time, because we're not supposed to spend more than 2 hours maximum, but it's now going to 2 hours, 15 minutes. We shall be facing the other things and taking them one topic after the other and address it properly I'm not saying what we have done today is not right, or it's not well informed. We are filled up. We are satisfied with what we have heard today. Kudos to all our speakers. But you know what? We need to change our lifestyle. What do you want to see? You want to stop taking, you see, I'm bringing it to the bare minimal, but it goes a long way for a lot of people. We want to stop taking sugar. What are you doing about it? You want to lose weight, and you go restaurant with the people that are eating the junk food and so on. What happens? You join them, and the calories are added. Lifestyle needs to be changed. Change your time, the time you wake up. Spend more time on what you really want for yourself. If you change, if you focus on what you want for yourself, the things around you, everyone around you, even by association, when I say association, like I've been said by the speakers ahead of me, by association, everything else around you will change to meet that thing that you want for yourself. Is it your marriage? Are they your children? That you need to change your mindset on how you deal with them. What does it take? Determination not to procrastinate. Determination not to allow people to waver you, to take you off the rail. Determination to know how to say no. You know, above it all, empower yourself. Empower yourself. You are, and I am number one. Have you done it? How many times have you done it? How many times have you tried whatever it is that's making you think that's it for you to give up? Tough times never last, but tough people do. All the failure, see it as a wake-up call. All your falling down. Who have you seen falling down? Except even if they have been hurt, even if they have broken their legs, even if they have broken their back, they still find a way of getting up. And when they get up, they want what? Total healing. And my people say when children fall down, what do? They don't look back. They just stand up and start going and start running the race. But when we fall, is there somebody looking at me? Hey, who has seen me? Hey, what are they going to say? No, don't be distracted by those things. Rise up again, arise. For your time is now. And you make sure that once you arise, that time of failure is a time for you to begin to ask yourself and assess and go, why did I fail? And then you begin to think about change and be positive. As you are changing, going into the next 6 months or 7 months of the year, begin to observe things around you. Observe what are the things that are needed in your immediate community and begin to use all your senses for a renewed mind. The Bible is the greatest motivational book of all time. Spend your time on it. You need anything that comes your way. You need to maximize the opportunity. Don't let anything negative stay in there in your mind. It's gone past 15 minutes past. I am going to end up with this, and we will continue from there. Be a good student. As you are going about making better decisions, as the opportunity comes your way, write them down. As you write them down, ponder on them. And as you ponder on them, build and act on it. Be a good student. Read, 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 and listen and act. And your mindset will marvel you within the next 3 months when you begin to take the steps, take action, make informed decisions as you leave this conference today. God bless us all. Thank you very much to every one of us. I want to be able to thank all our speakers, every one of you. I want to thank all our guests for the time. And I want to say, I hope you will all be available for the next session of Changing Your Mindset. Thank you very much. And I won't fail to thank my dear daughter, Councillor Abipal, as well. Thanks to our scribe, Patience. She's been writing things on, writing the points out that we'll be able to send out to everyone. Thank you once again. There might be questions. Sorry, I even forgot about questions. So, but then, yes, yeah.
Thank you very much, Evangelist Leah Martens. I wouldn't say it will be necessarily questions, but I just feel this session is more in relation to contributions. But if you have got a question, we'll be more than happy to answer, and I'll invite our speakers to take the floor. However, I can only see Patience, Madam Patience Hobbiday, if you can please unmute yourself. I can see that your hand is raised so that we can invite you to the floor.
Hello. Thank you, everybody. Very, very interesting topic. And not just interesting, but very powerful topic that I am really certain that I made a decision this today. And I said no. I said no, because, you know, they say your association, people you associate yourself with can affect your life. Can affect your life. And for me, God has confirmed, being on this thing, me normally I don't have the time. The time is so scarce, but today I purpose in my life that I'm going to be on this show. And it has really blessed me. It has really blessed me. Well, I have a question to ask. The question is, some might say, you know, they were saying that you have to be committed and be consistent, help others. But there are people that in your life, being consistent and persistent, they are still the same because they haven't thought about changing their mindset. How can you go about that?
Would you like me to take that?
Yeah, you can take that. And if any of our speakers want to take that as well, they can raise their hands and I'll spotlight them as well. Thank you.
All right. Just like one of the speakers said, it's always one of my passion, and it's something that I've said. I've actually written something about it. Like, what is your cup like? Is it half full or it is full? So, or is it half empty? So, because trying to help someone, like you said, The Bible also said, love yourself as you love others. And in helping people, also we have to understand that success has to be defined by individual, because what success meant for one might not be what it meant for another. And sometimes in the process of trying to help other people, you might be knowingly and unknowingly kind of setting them up for what they cannot handle. And that is very, very important. I always say to people about people-centered support. And what that meant is about someone understanding what their problem is and where they want to go. Because otherwise we can easily get burnt out trying to impart what people are not ready to take on board. And this is always about supporting people to understand where they are, understanding how they got there, because if you don't know where you are coming from, it is harder to know where you are going. And then also understanding where they want to go from there. Because without that, feeding people is a difficult task to take on board. You cannot solve anyone's problem individually. That's what I believe. But we can empower people to become reliant within themselves. And that meant what success meant for them. And this thing comes to goal setting. Rome was not built in a day, but it's about having the mindset of taking the little steps towards where they want to be and taking it off bit by bit. Otherwise, you can end up becoming an enemy of someone that you're trying to help. And I'm sure one way or the other, considering where we come from, we've been there. So most of us have been there before, because it's never enough. And I'm sorry to say, and it is a reality we need to face as a people, that we've one way or the other, we've made our people to become dependent. And this dependency is a spiritual thing as well, because when a man have to wake up for other people to feed them, this is a problem. It's demoralizing. No matter how little is the stream of income that people can make, I think we need to begin to think about how to teach people how to fish rather than trying to solve their problem. And then people understanding what their success is and appreciating themselves along the way, because Rome was not built in a day. And if people expect that you will be able to give them something to make them to become a billionaire overnight, then maybe their priorities are misplaced. And that is very common in our society. And this is a mindset that we also that are in diaspora have to try and change, to understand that we do not sell false food to people or reality. And reality is something we all need to face. I hope that answers your question, because otherwise you can burn out. And like I said, self-care, those of us that are in diaspora, people don't understand what we go through to give what we give. So do not present things the way they are not, because the more we give, the more they want. If they do not understand, they need to sow it. People need to see things as a seed. When we are overwhelmed, you need someone to help you. I use the word digging for the ruby in the rubbles, because when someone is down, the first thing is the self-esteem is low. Yes, it's understandable in that period. We need to help them in a way that they can be able to lift up their heads, whether it's supplying the needs around that time, but also be looking into how do we impact them to have a positive change moving on, so that we can positively invest in them. They can invest in themselves and see what you bring that is lump sum as a seed to sow rather than a food to eat. Sorry if that answered the question.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. This is Pwd. What I'll just add, and there's something that I feel that we need to realize and come to an understanding on the terms is that we can only control what we do. We can never control what other people do, what other people think, how other people perceive life in general. The only thing that we can control is how we respond to that. And so I wouldn't want a thing whereby it begins to take a lot of your energy and a lot of your time trying to change that person's mindset. You're there to be there for them, to give them that guidance, to support them. However, ultimately it is their responsibility and their decision to come to that change. And it may take time, it may take a couple of months, it may take a couple of years, but at the end of the day, they have to come to that point of, I need to change, and the time is now. We can't force somebody to be in that change. I think, Michael Green, do you want to say something on this?
I just wanted to share a quote that I meant to say earlier, really. It's one of my favorite quotes, and I always forget the beginning of it. So I've put in my own words, but hopefully you'll get the context. It feeds into what Isaac was saying about knowing what you want. And this is really an exercise in awareness, but I'll put it in the chat. But the quote goes something like this. So it's a lot of our suffering comes from us giving up what we want the most for what we want in the moment. So a lot of the time we're not aware of what we want, but the more you work on that, the more you won't give up what you really want for something that just satisfies you in the moment. And that's one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard. You know, it's so easy to take the easy way out, to look for quick answers, but are we really doing what we want? And so I just wanted to leave everyone with that quote for myself, really.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Yes. Are we shortchanging ourselves? Are we settling for less than what we know we are capable of, or what we know that we can actually achieve? What is our potential? And are we settling for less? I think that's the main point for what we can have now. Okay. I would like to say thank you to everyone, but before I go, I'll hand it back over to our host to add something, and then we can enjoy the rest of our bank holiday weekend. Yes, I'm so excited, especially since the weather's good. Right, if you can please unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Abigail. To that question, I just want to add the fact that for whosoever comes our way, we need, as counselors, as advisors, as mentors, or whatever role that we're playing in the lives of these individuals, as matured Christians, we should be able to understand that I just said something this evening about enough is enough. When this person gets to a place of enough is enough, and understanding the process of adapting and imbibing and applying the change, the mindset concerning whatever they're going through, then we begin to see the changes that we are hoping to be manifested in the lives of these people. And on the other hand, the other thing is, you see, for example, now I will tell you, use this as an example for us. My father asked me then, after I'd finished university, it really would be great if you go and learn hairdressing or sewing. And I thought, me, go and learn hairdressing or sewing. Why is this man asking me to do this? Is it because for those that know my background and my history and so on, is it because of this? Is it because, is it because he thinks this is what is best for me because of all that has happened to me in the past, okay, I'm going to say no to this, irrespective of whatever he had in mind. I already had barricaded my mind. I was not ready for it. But you know what? Coming to this country, I realized that would have been the best decision of a lifetime for me. Even though it wasn't too late then when I came into the country. But the good thing is the fact that what I went to university for, being a teacher, I still could get a job I got a job in the first 2 years that I came into the country as a teacher. Even though I didn't say, that's one of the things about mindset that I hope to bring up and we'll talk about later. So irrespective of I didn't train in this country, neither I know nothing about what was happening in the schools, I still got the job. So yes, today I probably would have had, I don't know where I would have been if I had done that, if I had taken on that sewing and the hairdressing apprenticeship thing my dad asked me to take on. Well, that was my mindset. I wasn't ready for it then. So no matter whatever he told me at that time, and that had to do with my future. So a lot of these people, you are okay, you're not supposed to be here. This is what you're supposed to do, and so on. And you know what? Their background goes a long way to affect their decisions and their mindset of wherever they are. So for us, let us begin to ask, am I through with this person? Am I finished with this person? If I have, then you move on and that person moves on. That's what I can say about that question. But now to put a final whatsoever to our successful seminar today, do you know one thing? The benefits of changing your mindset is what I'm holding on to. And so I'm ready to go through the process. Do we understand that? I am ready, and I'm sure you should be ready to go through the process. We haven't put forth before us by Mr. Isaac the benefits of it. And don't just think there's anybody that can never make it in life. Don't write anybody off. We've talked about disability. We've talked about the people that I met somebody in the market and I spoke about because I taught in the Oak Hill Secure Training Center, the young offenders prisons. 2 of the trainees have graduated from the university. And that's part of why we're there. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you to every one of us, and we're looking forward to the next one in a month's time. So let's get ready. I will get back to us because we need to really get this out there about the mindset that needs to be changed as we are coming out of COVID, whatever the situation is, whether we're going back or whatever, but I pray we don't have to go back. But then if that's the case, then our mindset are ready for everything. Thank you so much, and God bless all of us. So, Mr. Michael, Abipel, Jane, Agnes, Mr. Isaac, Mr. Balogun, Ben, Mr. Soladide, Vic, a lot of them, and Kasi, Tolu, Patience, Kemi, is it Ambassador Chioma, and Favor, and hey, Tapuiwa Andoro. God bless all of you. God bless all of you. And a lot of people have left. So I want to thank us all. In a month's time, we're having another changing of your mindset. God bless us all. Thank you, our host. And thank you, Timothy, my friend. God bless us all. Michael Green, thank you. God bless you all. All right, let's have some enjoyment of the. Or is there anyone that wants to invite me this God bless you. Nobody answered. Are you all muted?
Yes.
Whosoever.
I don't even want to tell anyone what I'm planning to eat